Welcome back. I'm Brent Meredith. No surprise to us, but our Tennessee State Legislature has gotten off to a running start on a new 2020 legislative session targeting us, among other communities. And joining Pam and I tonight to give us an up-to-speed account is Tennessee Equality Project Executive Director and longtime Out and About Today commentator, Chris Sanders.
Chris Sanders,
Thank you all for
another
having
somber segment.
And,
Do you ever get tired
it's
of
good to see both of you.
It is good to see you. That's right.
This is his first appearance. You know, we figured out end of last year that he had been on more than anybody else in the history of the show.
What number? Are we in the 50s?
We don't count anymore.
Nobody counts.
Nobody counts anymore.
But it just feels like old times, right?
It does.
And speaking of old times, just how are you? How are you? I feel like, you know, we go back a while. We've known each other for a while.
All right. Just running fast. You know, just like every year, January through April is the fastest time of year.
Yeah.
And I'm off to Martin, Tennessee today for an Advocacy 101 session. And I love traveling the state to see the community. You meet the best people. But I don't mind when May rolls around, I'll tell you that.
I can understand.
Yeah, and I just want to ask, last week we talked about our personal New Year's resolutions or goals since we're second month into the year. And how do you deal, you come back New Year, legislative, how do you keep yourself mentally healthy and strong?
Yeah.
I guess you didn't have dry January, I'm guessing.
No. You know, part of it really is I like to continue to read. I read throughout my life. You try to get time with friends and build that in. It's tough. It's always tough as you get older, particularly, but you know, in a busy job. But you also set limits. And what I've done with our team is what I've said. I won't contact you on the weekend, but I expect you to do the same.
Oh, that's smart, Chris.
I'm still getting email and phone call from other people who aren't on the immediate team, but I've said I want you to build in time for yourself because I'm going to build in that time for myself. I'm still doing some work, but if you can do it more free form over the weekend, your mind gets to relax. So that's one of the things that I've done.
I love that.
It's old school, but it's a boundary. It's like, yes, let's pretend that there really is a Monday through Friday weekday.
Right, sure.
You know?
Yeah, and you, like you said, pretend, because you get it most of the time. And you know, and if you don't take that time, then that time doesn't come. You know?
But I think it has meant a lot to our regional chairs who do a lot of work for us, and certainly Jenny, our lobbyist, and other leaders. But that's the culture we're trying to build internally in TEP, so you can take a break.
Well, and you guys do such a good job, you especially, of keeping the TEP Facebook group sort of updated, like just constantly updated. So if you're needing something, chances are you can go there and find the answer out without having to even, you know, come to you.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time when Facebook was looking at phasing out groups, and we ended up keeping ours. We had the group before the page. And the group has been wonderful for us during legislative session because of what you just said.
Yep.
It's more intimate and it's more direct and keeping people really informed.
Oh, it is. And one of the first things I do whenever I see Chris Sanders has posted an update to TEP is I'll quickly go and see, you know, what's going on. I'll read through the first couple of posts, and then there you have it. You know what's going on for the day. If I could switch gears a little bit, speaking of some of those posts, I know we got to get into the meat and taters of this segment here. Right. The adoption discrimination bills and their fate, as we're taping right now, the governor, the governor still has not signed it yet, even though he has said that he will.
As of this minute.
As of this minute. But what does it really mean going forward, the religious liberty argument, in your opinion, or sort of what they're...
Well, I mean, we've been seeing it for years in various forms, and this is another form of it. It can work to a point to get a bill passed. Whether it can pass constitutional muster in the courts is another matter. And, you know, really, when you use taxpayer funds to support discrimination, because these agencies would now be eligible for state funds, then that is turning the public away from a state program based on a particular category. And I think there are many courts that will look at that with suspicion.
Well, and I think we look at it as suspicion, and what I wonder sometimes, because I did catch you on Open Line recently, about this particular bill, and you know some of the callers calling in and some of the the explanations they're giving, but how, I guess, if the sort of emotional connection or emotion wrapped around this is sort of conflated with the actual idea of it, I don't see how anybody conservative could advocate for, you know, government taking your money but then not allowing you to utilize it. So I guess all
that,
of that
did move a number of conservatives.
Really?
If you notice, in the Senate debate, there were certainly Republicans who were speaking out against the bill, including the lieutenant governor. And I think, you know, it takes 17 votes in the Senate to pass a bill. They got 20, and there are only 5 Democrats, so that means a lot of Republicans sat the vote out. That is, you know, I wish we had won, but that's progress.
Well, and I thought the same. Oh, Pam, go ahead.
Well, I just want to go back. This will not completely close the door on gay people from pursuing adoptions.
No.
Right? It's just there are going to be agencies that can just say no, and that's going to be okay.
And, well, they can say no, and they'll get our state funds. To do it. We'll be subsidizing our own discrimination.
Right.
And that's the key that I feel like, I mean, the religious argument alone doesn't seem to weight that. So, I mean, there's obviously more behind it, right?
There's the desire for the funds.
Exactly.
And when more money is flowing to those private agencies, either those agencies themselves will grow, or more will come into the state, more will open, and it will become a bigger segment of adoption options, which is kind of scary, I think.
Right.
It is a little scary, but to your point, Pam, you're still able to adopt as an LGBT couple.
Yes, as long you can adopt from the state, you can adopt from some private agencies. I mean, for example, you know, Jewish Family Services is private but serves inclusively and has for years with our community. And has done incredible outreach with our community. There are others, but I want to lift them up because they've been so vocal for so long and just so incredible in their approach to what
we've had them on the show
families.
before, and they really want to. Again, the argument that they make is the right home for the child. You know, everything else should just be is just what it is. You know, like are you going to be good parents, and everything else is just superfluous. Well, one of the other bills that's sort of up right now, it's actually been assigned to subcommittee as we're taping today, is the sports bill, sort of playing sports based on your gender assignment at birth. We've seen these already. You know, it's happened before. What do you think? Will it get out of committee? Do we need to?
Oh, it's very likely in the House. I mean, there are two versions. There's one that has these horrible penalties for the school districts if they violate the state law.
Really?
Including losing all your state funds, the principal, you know, not being eligible to be a principal for 5 years and being fined $10,000. And then there's another one that really doesn't get into the penalties, but adds the possibility of genetic testing and all this stuff for verification. Well, there are expenses, there are bureaucratic nightmares involved in all that. When you use birth certificates, every state handles birth certificates differently. So there's no such thing as an original birth certificate anymore in some state after it's amended. That is the birth certificate on file. So we're going to have students moving into the state. We border more states than any other state in the union already. So this is going to be, it's horrible for trans kids because it stigmatizes, and it's going to be a nightmare for these school districts.
Well, and I don't want to cut you off, Pam, but we got to take a quick break. So save that question, if you would, to when we come back. And we'll be right back with more from Tennessee Equality Project's Chris Sanders after the break. Stay with us.